our director at USA Strong, and Republican political strategist Julio Rivera. He's editorial director at Reactionary Times. Good to see all of you here. Jenny, I got to spend some time with you. Jenny Beth, let me spend some time on that for me.
Well, I think the work that Jenny's doing is actually very admirable, and I was actually helping the legal team in Pennsylvania get those affidavits as well. The problem is that we have a mainstream media that is gaslighting the American public into thinking that if they think there's any sort of fraud, that they are wearing a tinfoil hat and absolutely crazy. I think that these affidavits need to become public in the states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia to show that there is widespread fraud going on here. There are stories upon stories that show you that this election was not conducted appropriately or fairly. We want Republicans, Democrats, and independents alike to realize that election integrity is very important to the future of this country and our republic. And these two Georgia seats on January 5th are going to determine the future of our country and what the composition of our country is really going to look like, especially if the Democrats win and it doesn't have the propriety or illegality of being fair. So I do think that these affidavits are important, and this work is very, very honorable, and that we need to see these legal fights in all of these various states play out. Due process is entitled to the President of the United States. Joe Biden is not yet the president-elect. The Electoral College has not met. Yes, the clock is ticking, but it is very important that we see these legal fights continue to play out in a court of law across our great country.
Let me jump in really quick. Julio, I'm going to play this for you. This is Republican Representative Doug Collins from Georgia had this to say.
There have been real issues here in Georgia.
Well, the same evidence that I've been reporting everywhere on YouTube videos, publicly to everyone who interviews me, as well as turning over to state legislatures, governors, attorney generals, and secretaries of states. In 6 pivotal states, we found a substantial number of people who are highly unlikely to have the residency requirement to vote in those states. So,
with us to react, Erin Elmore and Julio Rivera. Erin, I want to start with you. We keep hearing about where
these conversations about election integrity are so very important. We hear stories like that all day, every day. The mainstream media is refusing to cover them. But yet we are thanks for people like you at Newsmax that will tell these stories. And I think these affidavits have to continue. We have to continue to document every instance of fraud. Because although right now we don't see this massive smoking gun, we have several instances that could really change the outcome of all of these crucial states. We have Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Georgia that are so close and all so important and are generally very dispositive of elections, right? This year did not look like any other election in the history of our nation. That should tell you something right there. That is a barometer of fairness right there. Yeah. And I think these are all things that we need to take into account and realize that there are very likely massive instances of fraud, and the clock is ticking for us to get them exposed. And I know that these legal teams that Trump has in all of these states are diligently working on exposing all of the fraud.
Absolutely. Julio, we only have a couple of seconds. I want to get your reaction to what Matt said and his reaction to AG Barr.
Well, Allison, I mean, I've said this the entire time, that there has to be a federal standard for national elections.
That's pretty popular there. San Francisco Mayor London Breed also dined at the upscale French Laundry restaurant the day after Newsom was there for a friend's birthday party. Breed joins the increasingly long list of public officials to come under fire for breaking their own coronavirus guidelines. We keep
discusses Dr. Kelly Ward, chairwoman of the Arizona Republican Party, joining us live. Panelists Erin Elmore, Julio Rivera, back with us as well. Dr. Ward, good to see you. What are the latest? Yeah, what are the latest updates here from Arizona? We're watching so many different states, but seconds for you.
You know, I also think that in Pennsylvania, these electoral votes are going to be thrown out by the state legislature. We've already had Supreme Court Justice Alito come into Pennsylvania and tell them what they were doing was inappropriate. They didn't listen. I think at the end of the day, mark my words, piggybacking on Dr. Ward's point, that the Pennsylvania electorate's gone. They are not going to count for Joe Biden.
All right, panelists will be back after the break. Dr. Kelly Ward, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Senate hearing with Jerome Powell exclaiming how Joe Biden will have the authority to clear student loans. Many Democrats are pushing for Biden to cancel up to $50,000 per person in student loans. And while for guest is Daniel Geltrude, he's a CPA and professor at Montclair State University. Also, our panel's back with us, Julio Rivera and Erin Elmore. Dan, I want to start with you. Forgiving student debt sounds great. Look, I wish somebody paid my student loans, but What is the problem with this process that Joe Biden wants to happen, as well as Elizabeth Warren? It's a bad idea. I guess the big question is how are we going to pay for this?
Exactly. Canceling of student loans is both dangerous and insidious. First of all, these are legally binding contract agreements. You just can't cancel a contract. The terms are very specific. The conditions are very specific. Moreover, what do you say here to the hardworking Americans that decided to save their money, take fewer vacations, get an extra job, and pay for their college themselves? Are they going to get some kind of tax break here? This sends a very devious message to the American people at large. And canceling student loans, where is this money going to come from? Where is it going to go? This is not going to stimulate the economy. This is going to crash the economy.
Yeah, Julio, Erin brings up
Julio Rivera. I'll go straight to Erin Elmore on this one. Your thoughts?
This is the typical example of disparate treatment of Republicans, specifically President Trump. When he had the coronavirus, the questions were so invasive, absolutely violating HIPAA compliancy, yet the mainstream media didn't care. They lambasted him and bombarded him with questions. When was your last test? On a daily basis, asking him all sorts of personal health questions. But no, when we have Joe Biden, nothing at all. How are you feeling? You look great today. Have a great day. It's never any hard-hitting journalism, and it's absolute different treatment based on whether or not you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, and it's quite sick. And I hope in the next 4 years, if in fact we had the unfortunate pleasure of having Joe Biden as a president, that the mainstream media wises up and starts asking some difficult questions.
Let me jump in there and talk about your point. MSNBC anchor Andrea Mitchell tried to ask some critical questions about Biden's accident, but was met with fury online. But first, here's what she said.
Turning back to the president-elect and the injury he suffered Sunday, it was also notable, he fell playing with his dog Major, we're told, on Saturday. It wasn't until Sunday that the White House pool knew that he was going somewhere, and then it turned out to be a doctor, for an X-ray, and then they needed more imaging, so CT scans. They weren't as forthcoming as you would hope they would be.
Not as forthcoming as you'd hope they would be. One top political writer writing, quote, "Are you blanking serious with this, Andrea Mitchell? Biden not transparent enough about his ankle? They videotaped him at the doctor's office." Julio Rivera, it seems a little bit ridiculous for people to be hung out about Joe Biden going to the doctor for a twisted ankle. Your final thoughts from you, and then we got to go.
Andrea Mitchell's totally right to question the mainstream media here and the treatment that they have been given to Joe Biden. And I think this will be hopefully an opportunity for some more transparency, fewer lids being called, and the American people seeing what's really going on behind the veil that is Joe Biden.
All right. Well, we appreciate that. Great discussions we had today. There's a lot to talk about. This continues on. Erin Elmore, Julio Rivera, our panelists for this Wednesday. Thank you so much.
Next time, let's talk French laundry.
Let's talk French laundry next time. When I have more time, I've got a lot of questions about that menu. All right. We'll see you again soon. Thanks, guys. All right.